Well, we're just going to kick this sucker off. Welcome back to the Duck Call Room. We got a very, very, very special guest today. Two special guests, one of them with more varies in front of her name. We got Al in the Duck Call Room. We got Si, and we've got Miss K. Robertson in the house.
She lives. You live, Mom.
Thank goodness. I'm tired of being dead.
I tell you what, there have been more, Johnny D, there have been more fake AI internet deaths for Mom since Dad crossed over. I don't know what the big rush is, Mom. They keep trying to, but every one of us supposedly, including Stone, has like given our last will and testament to Mom, and they show this fake ugly crying face on every one of us, and then they show Mom an AI version that's not even you. It doesn't even look like you.
It doesn't look like her
No,
at
it
all.
doesn't look at all.
Yeah, I'm not the only one that died. That woman did too.
Seems like there's a conspiracy, to get us to leave this earth early.
Well, Si, how many times have you been killed on the internet?
Yeah.
You've been killed many times.
Oh yeah, I've
Car
died so many times. I just, what's funny is Tracy always has to call. Is Dad really okay? And Mom said, "Oh, that's just him idiot."
I tell people, don't believe what you see on the internet.
Yeah, don't believe what.
Well,
you see.
Mom came to Whites Ferry Road a few weeks ago, a couple of times ago when I preached, and I said, "Tales of your demise have been greatly exaggerated because you're here today." So this is a proof of life video, Johnny.
Yeah,
D.
we're just getting
on the
out
Duck
there.
Call Room. The first appearance, on video. Mom is alive and well.
You doing good, Miss K?
Well, I'm talking.
Yeah, well, you're here to laugh, aren't you?
I am. And I'm here to for you to make me laugh.
I'm gonna do my best
Hey, we're
because
gonna do
Miss
our
K
best. That's right.
told me I saw Miss K a few weeks ago, and she said, "Mini-me, when I'm ready to laugh, I'm gonna come on that podcast." And so when Beth texted me the other day and said Miss K's coming, I said, "You tell me the time because I got a job to do, and it is to make Miss K laugh." And I hope I can do it, Miss K.
You can.
But we're gonna let Si mainly take that over.
I may not even put it off.
Well, Willie's been trying to pull Mom out of retirement because she was on the first couple of episodes of the revival show.
That was not a smile on your face there, Miss K.
No, Mom said she has told Willie in no uncertain terms that she is retired. She's not dead, but she's retired. Isn't that right, Mom?
Yeah, but he obviously can't hear.
He said he's trying to squeeze every bit of work out of you that he could possibly get.
Yeah, before I die, that's exactly.
That's exactly how I feel right now.
Oh boy,
they've been running me to death. Okay? I'm serious. I said, boys, good grief, Jesus called Phil home, and then hey, boy, everybody's kicking in gear on me and Miss K.
Well, the way I look at it, so here's what I said. So I turned 60 this year, Si. So I figure one of you two is at the plate, the other one is on deck, and I'm in the hole. I'm waiting to get on deck because if we just go by age, I'm the next guy up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So there we go.
Well, I should
Al
again.
turn this into a baseball game. Me and you're at bat, Miss K, and
I don't know which one of you is
he's
at
over
bat.
there warming up.
Well, I wasn't that good a baseball player.
Tell you what. Well, that's why Willie's working you to death because you were the star of Duck Dynasty.
That's right.
Yeah.
And now they got Duck Dynasty Revival, and they got to call in what I like to call the pros.
Mm-hmm.
I think that might be what it is, Miss K.
Oh, good.
Because you've been my favorite part of the new show. Every time you show up, Carter gets excited. He's when we saw you in the neighborhood the other day, he said, "Hey, Miss K." He's like, "Stop the car, Dad," because Missy was driving her on the golf cart. I was like, "What is it?" He goes, "There's Miss K. I got to ask her how she's doing." So he was fired up to see you.
No, I laughed yesterday, and when we was down there at Jason's, it's a big line, and next thing I know, I look up, Carter's going, "Give me a high five, son."
Oh yeah, he broke it. He broke in front of all the visitors, all the guests. He's like, "Move
I
it."
said, "Carter, what have you been up to, son?" Since you was on my podcast the other day.
Well, so let me brag on Mom because obviously this was a hard deal on all of us, but it was especially hard for Mom. And so when she came to church that day, it was the first time people had seen her because even at the funeral, we get to see everybody was there. And so, they were saying, "Miss K, you look so good." And so mom was like offended. And she said,
have I been looking that
well,
bad?
well, she said, I'm tired of people saying how good I look. My husband just died. It's not like I'm back on the market. And I was like, Mom, they're not saying you look great. Hey, do you want a date? They're saying like you look amazing.
It's good to they're saying it's good to see you again.
Exactly. That's what I was trying to explain. But you said that, didn't you, Mom? You were like offended because you were like, hey, I'm not out there.
Hey, I ain't out here.
I thought I should look sad.
You should be in the mourning shroud and all that. But Mom has been like since the whole thing happened. So she moved in with us. She's living with Jay and Anna. So she's in our compound, which for those of you who don't know how we live, so we have a compound within a bigger compound.
That's right.
And Johnny D has people in the compound. He used to be, well, you're still just outside.
I'm an OG of the compound.
Yeah.
I was born in the compound.
That's right.
Now I'm one of what I call the normies that live outside the gate.
That's right. And I'm outside the gate, too.
Outside the gate too.
I'm just, I almost made it
outside the
inside.
gate.
Me and Alex are on the normal street. Then there's another street with the gate, and we're all. It's actually crazy how many people live there now.
It is. And so, because with the Robertsons kind of pulled a Beverly Hillbillies because, all of the Howards and the Shackelfords were there, and we just kind of came in, concrete, pool.
No.
Because
that's like the other day, they called me and said, or Phillip called me and told me, said, hey, you got to go to John Luke's house. Well, I went to Willie and them's old house thinking that's where John Luke lived. I pulled up, Rebecca comes out. She said, what are you doing here? I said, well, I thought this was John Luke's house. I said, where does John Luke live? And she said, oh, you got to go back out and then go back through a gate, past Willie's house. I said, oh, so I didn't even know that they live over there with Sadie.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
And there's 14 different entrances,
Yeah.
so we're really not that sad.
Yeah,
Right. It's
hey, the kingdom has been growing in behind the gate.
Well, I'm not the first one to bring a trailer into the compound. I'm the second. But I did do it. But actually, your grandfather was the first.
Oh, AH.
AH did it. So he set the precedent that it was okay. They're not happy about it, but I always go back to the original patriarch and say, if AH could have a trailer, I can have a trailer.
So he did have his own plane at one point.
He did. Which I cannot say the same.
He went from that big old house. He said, I got to get out of this stupid thing. Let me get something more economically friendly.
But so mom she's been like doing her physical therapy. She's lost some weight. She's really been great. So I've been super proud of her. She's working hard, because you work through a grieving process, but mom had a lot of health issues as well.
Yeah.
But mom, you're probably healthier than you've been in a year. I mean, don't you think?
Well, yeah, especially those months in the hospital.
Yeah, and all the time in the rehab and all that stuff. And then with dad, in the...
Yeah, you ought to try to sign autographs in the hospital. It's really fun.
Hold on. Back up. We're not letting that go. You signed autographs in the hospital, Miss Kay? For, like, the doctors?
No, well, the staff and then people walking down the halls, they looked just like Miss Kay. Yeah, that was her. Let's go see her. Really? Is there a sign up that says, come on in?
And you couldn't get away. You were kind of stuck.
Tried to pull the cover over my head. It didn't work.
So when mom was in the memory care part, which I have to say, it's a tough slog because everybody there was like dad was, but mom wasn't there yet. So she was like, she just has a little dementia, right, Mom?
Yeah.
So she was like, she has what we call fun dementia. But everybody else in there has some serious problems. Well, they just come in your room. They don't knock. They just come in like they own the place.
Oh, no.
So it's kind of weird. And so Mom would get put out with him. And I laughed so hard because Mom would. So this one particular gentleman, Mom thought he was homeless. I said, well, Mom, he's not homeless. He lives here. And she said, oh, I wish he'd be homeless someplace else. And so he would just come in and just basically whatever we had brought up food-wise, he just helps himself to the donuts, the pizza, whatever. And Mom's like, and one day he comes in, it was Mother's Day. We come to visit Mom. And he said, whoa, what's going on here? And, he just kind of slides in, and I said, and Mom said, we're having a party. And he says, well, that's not fair. And she said, life's not fair, sir. And so he just kind of shuffled away. And I thought, well, I guess you told him, huh?
She dropped.
Well, he was eyeing every piece of food we had and just going down the whole thing. And I'm
Okay, that's normal.
well,
You've always had a house full.
That's a great point.
Anywhere you go, you have a house full.
That's right.
Okay, so that's normal.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
You couldn't even go on a date with Phil without having this guy in the back
that's
seat.
it. Hey, you know,
true.
You used to company at this
The
point.
third wheel.
hey.
Kay
That's
said, at
true.
this point, though, I'm kind of over company.
No, I always remember Phil's line. Hey, who you got in the back there? He said, "Oh, that's side. Don't pay no attention."
Yeah, that was exactly what he said.
And you stuck around anyway.
Si, if you had to say that you're an expert in one field, what would it be?
It would be sleep.
Amen, buddy. And what kind of mattress do you sleep on?
Hey, a Helix, buddy.
So y'all heard it from the expert in sleep.
That's the only way to
himself.
go.
There you go. Helix mattresses, because good quality rest is important to your overall health. And that is why we love our Helix sleep mattresses. Look, you spend all day chasing kids around, do like we do, film TV shows, film podcasts. Don't matter. When you get home, you want to relax. You want to lay down. You want to be comfortable. So you owe it to yourself to get yourself a Helix mattress. And it is so simple. You take a quiz. They build a mattress for you, not for
You
somebody
can't
else.
You can't flunk it unless you lie.
That's exactly right. Look,
I aced it because I love that mattress.
yeah. Which
It's my
one?
favorite thing.
What do you have?
He had Moonlight Love.
Moonlight Luck.
Soft, fluffy cloud.
There you
What?
go.
Just like me.
What?
For somebody that sleeps in every position. Back, side, crime scene, it don't matter. It's 3 years we've had these things now. We're still talking about them. It's unbelievable, right? And not only do we have them, like Unashamed folks have them. Look, Jace has been a delight here lately, so he's got to be sleeping better.
He must be.
Look, and if you wear one of them fancy sleep trackers on your arm,
I do.
just do it. Look at your sleep score. Like, it's unbelievable. It'll speak for itself. It'll prove that itself is fine. When you wake up in the morning, you don't hurt. For a limited time, go to helixsleep.com/duck for 27% off site-wide, exclusive for listeners to the Duck Call Room. That's helixsleep.com/duck for 27% off site-wide. helixsleep.com/duck.
Well, the first episode that I was on, the old show, the Little Duck Show, Jace calls it. The first episode was the one that honored Mom and Dad's 50 years. Till Duck do his part. And the whole storyline, I guess the B story of that event was you doing like a walk down memory lane with Mom and Dad on all those dating years.
no.
So
Yeah.
y'all did some stuff on the show. But it was great for us because we've heard those stories. Because people ask me all the time, they're like, is Si like the way he is on Duck Call Room and all this and like in real life? And I was like, oh, that is Si's real life.
No, but hey, that ain't, you just get a little bit, okay, in the show. He's worse in real life. Yeah, but they don't understand, when Phil first met this young lady, and she come to the house, well, the first thing that Mama said, everywhere they went, hey, take your brother with you.
Yeah.
How would you like that? Have me hung around your neck?
And the first thing Jan said when I came in, well, we were all dressed up. I had on an evening dress and everything because we were going to something fancy.
In the evening dress.
Yeah, and Phil, of course, looked down. He dressed down, of course.
He had a camouflage T-shirt on, probably.
Yeah, and so anyway, you know what Jan said? Jan said, "Oh, Mama, Phil brought a princess home."
No.
That's what she said.
Well, you did look like a princess.
Well, I was dressed.
I mean,
to
you
the
was
T.
decked out, had the hairdo and the dress and all.
Yeah, I
that,
liked to trip on everything in the house when I walked in. I mean, but we had to dress up. And I guess Phil borrowed clothes from Harold, is what I think. How he even was able to dress for it.
That's awesome.
His brother,
Yeah, but they just had stuff all over the floor that you were tripping over?
Oh, yeah.
You didn't pick up after yourself, Si?
No.
What was on?
Hey, we didn't have a maid, son.
You had 14 brothers and sisters. What
Yeah,
are
but
y'all?
hey, we didn't fool the house. That's woman's work.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
And we'll be back right after this. Good. You can't say that.
Hey, sure I can.
You just did.
He
Hey,
just
that's
said.
the truth.
Oh, that's funny.
So I said,
I wish
what is all this sexism?
we had that picture. Okay.
Of Miss K's
Oh,
first time walking in.
no, this young lady was looking fine. I'm talking about. Okay. Yeah.
She's shaking her
she
head.
was
at
looking
you,
fine
right?
because she brought a case of Cokes in.
Well,
I
hey, yeah.
I saw the movie, so I know how this.
And
thing
she had a grocery store, and you like
Yeah, hey,
snacks.
well, she had a blue car.
Mhm.
And she was the driver for us.
Yeah.
She was the wheel lady.
So did you know, Si, that my first car was actually that blue car that Mom had, that Ford Fairlane?
Okay.
My great grandmother had
Kept it?
kept it, and it was a tank. You know, this is a 64 Ford
Yeah, this
Fairlane. So it was
thing
a
is
year
made
before I
out-
was born.
This thing is made out of real metal.
The real metal. And it had dings all over it
Yeah.
from where my great grandmother ran into everything in Ida, I guess, or Mom. I don't know which.
No, it was her.
And so, but it had a 289 special, which was a rare motor
Yeah.
for that car. But that thing would run like a scalded
Oh,
dog.
no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was really great. And then, of course, Dad blew the motor up in it on the duck call trip, and that was the end of my car. But that was my first car. Was that?
Wasn't that a shot?
Yeah, shocker.
Phil broke something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just left it where it was.
Oh, no.
Too.
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah,
best.
that,
Well, that's
Just
it.
walked away. I was like, "Well, did I get my car back? No, I left it wherever.
no,
It's up in
that-
Arkansas someplace."
No, that was when he was running with Danny George, and everything they drove, it broke down. Hey, wherever
Leave it
broke
where
down,
it's at.
They'd leave it.
They just left.
I just left it. Yeah.
yeah, you know what? That was trouble and more trouble right there. Those two.
Phil and who?
Danny
His name was
George.
Danny
Danny
George.
George.
He's
I was
crossed
one of
over
his
as well.
old running buddies.
Okay.
He was part of
Yeah.
that crew that it's what do you say? Si told him that man is dead. He's gone.
No, that was the coolest thing that Phil Robertson ever done for his younger brother. Okay, as I was on leave in the Army, and down at the house on the river on Cypress Creek, we was out there talking, and here comes all of his buddies driving up, talking about, hey, let's go run the women and get drunk, And he just looked at him, and I mean, I'm serious. I wish I had a camera on him because he scared the living you know what out of him.
Daylight.
When they asked him, okay, hey, come on. He said, hey, you boys are looking for a dead man. He said, I buried that sucker and I buried him deep. He said, now y'all get back in your truck, get off my property. I don't want to ever see you again.
And you were standing right there. When
I was standing right beside him. I'm looking at him, and that was when he was, Popeye the Sailor Man. His forearms were that big around,
Yeah. And he was still in college.
Oh, no, yeah.
athlete shape.
He was still in shape.
Well,
Okay?
I don't know if you know this, but I was still terrified of him when he was about 75.
Oh, no.
I wouldn't mess with him.
Hey,
I wasn't messing with him.
well, hey, you back in the day, like,
No, he'd have won that fight.
yeah, I looked and these boys were, because, hey, when he said, hey, get back in your truck and get off of my property, they immediately obeyed and scrawled out there, and, hey, they didn't come back.
Well, I don't know of too many people that bucked the system when it came to what Phil Robertson said.
I'm just saying, but that was the best thing my older brother ever did for me. Is when he told them, hey, you're looking for a dead man. I buried him, good riddance,
And they depicted that in the movie really well. That scene, it was a little different than because Si was there, and several of the scenes in the movies were like that. It may not have been exactly the people that were there in each of those moments, but it really did a good job of showing it.
Well,
Go ahead.
I actually kept telling him because most people that don't know him, that weighed heavily upon him.
Yeah,
Having that movie made.
right.
Okay. And I just, every time I got the chance, I said, hey, look, you ain't the only one that wallowed in the pig pen, son.
Yeah, that's right.
And that was
I said, they won't get off of it. I said, because they made a movie of it, and you said you was okay with it. But I knew deep down, he thought himself as like Paul, I'm the worst of all the worst. Okay.
Well, you know what science like? I mentioned this on our podcast that there's a movie, I think it's called Paul the Apostle or the Apostle Paul. And and the same guy that directed it, ironically, was our director for The Blind.
Okay.
And as it turns out, this movie, which is one of the best ones I've ever seen about the Apostle Paul, throughout the entire movie is him having these like almost like visions or flashbacks of all the people that he had persecuted.
Oh no.
And had been even died because of what he did. And so the whole movie is kind of set against the backdrop of regret. You know, I mean, he's doing everything he's doing for the Lord, but like he has this huge regret.
Oh no.
And at the end, when they literally behead him, at the end, he has this reunion with all these people that he had sent on and crossed over.
Yeah.
But it was really powerful. And so it was ironic that same guy directed our movie, which was also for Dad a lot of regret.
Oh,
At the same time, look at how many people he's led.
well, no.
Also.
See, that was the thing, because that's why I kept reminding him. You know, I said, hey, you ain't by yourself. I said, because if Ed had come to me and asked me, hey, let me show you all the rotten stuff you done, Si Robertson, I said, have you lost your mind? I ain't going to do that.
Right.
You know, instead, Phil said, well, if I can bring one person to Jesus.
That's it. That's what he did. That's why he did it.
He said, if I can bring one person from Jesus away from the devil, it'll be worth it.
Yeah.
And he got more than one.
But like I said, it really weighed heavy on him because he considered himself, worse than Paul.
Yeah, he did.
Okay, he really did. Okay.
And then Paul called himself the chief of sinners for a reason.
Hello.
So we were watching the movie the first time, and I was sitting next to Mom and Dad, and it was really funny because, you know, everybody's kind of in the theater is looking at Mom and Dad. And this is the first time they've seen the movie. We're all watching it together here in Tinseltown. And I'm looking down there, and they're just kind of watching, not really reacting too strongly at first. And so there's a scene where they're sitting in bed and talking, and Mom, the actress playing Mom, is reading a magazine. It was a Life magazine. And Mom looks over and says, I would have never read a Life magazine. And it tickled me because I thought of everything that's on this movie.
Yeah,
Mom's
that's the one.
I mean, come on. I mean, Good Housekeeping, maybe, but Life? I mean, no way am I going to read that.
The Life magazine. What did you have against Life magazine, Kay?
Well, I don't remember at the time, but obviously I had something.
You're more of a pioneer woman than a Life magazine kind of lady.
That's correct.
Martin, my keys are in my Stopbox Pro, and I must get away. If only it was this simple to open.
Wow. There
Just
you
like
go.
that.
Look at you, man. Look. And you can put your keys in there. You can put your wallet in there when you're traveling. But for most of us, we keep our handguns in there because if you ever need it, you want it to be closed.
Yep.
And you need it to be accessible, but you also need
Have
it
you
to
ever
be.
asked a bad guy for a few more minutes while you unlock your safe?
Could you quit robbing me and let me get my gun out?
Give me a
and then we can
second.
talk
Before
about
you
it?
hurt me, let me type in this code real fast. 27, 18. No.
But
Hi-yow.
you know,
Boom.
like me and you especially, still have young children at the house. So you need your firearms to be secure, but you also need to be able to get them in a hurry.
And that's what
Should you need it? Hopefully we never do, right? Hopefully I never have to open the Stopbox Pro in a hurry, but when you do, look how easy it is. One hand will do it. You don't have to fumble around with codes, keys, none of that. Just open it. One-handed, super simple. The Stopbox Pro's ingenious push-button locking system gives you fast, reliable access when every second matters without the hassle of keys or reliance on batteries. It's 100% mechanical, so it works every time. No power needed. Look, Stopbox products made right here in the USA in their own facility, so you get the high-quality craftsmanship and American jobs are created. That's what we're all after, right? Look, traveling with peace of mind is also easy because it is TSA compliant. Look, you can transport your firearm and check baggage. No issues, no worries. It's right there with you. Stopbox also offers a range of other innovative products, including their vehicle safe, chamber lock, and other essential gear designed to keep you prepared and protected no matter what you're doing. And now, for a limited time only, you can get 10% off your entire order when you use the code
.com.
There you go. And right now, our listeners are getting a crazy deal. Buy any Stopbox, get one for free. That's 10% off plus buy a Stopbox and get another free when you use code
.com
at StopboxUSA.com. Discover a better way to balance security and readiness with Stopbox. That's code
.com
at StopboxUSA.com.
So I wanted to tell, I don't think I've ever told this anywhere, but so when Si, one of the things we loved about Si, we only got to see him about every other like holiday season because he was always deployed, usually in Germany or somewhere overseas. So the whole time he was serving in the military, we only got to see him periodically, maybe once every 2 or 3 years because he'd be gone.
Yeah, it was about 2 years.
So he would roll in, and of course we would hunt and play dominoes, and it'd be a whole, week of gathering. And we just found a picture, by the way, Si, of that era when you were probably in your 30s. I'll have to bring it up here, and maybe they can pop it in on the podcast. I can see Tracy Lee back there. She looks like she's maybe 10 or 12 in the background, and Dad too. But Si would come in, and he would, this will be a shocker to you, Johnny D, he would regale us with stories, with crazy stories from all of his missions and deployments and hunting in Germany. So we would gather around and hear these stories. And of course, it was all the setting of the precedent of now what America loves about Si. And so that was kind of our whole attachment to Si. He was the storyteller. So when he would come in, he would tell us all these things, and we never knew what to believe. It was what percentage of Si says 95.5. I don't know if that's correct.
I choose to believe all of it these days just because it makes me happy.
Hey, I'm serious. That's pretty close to being true.
You literally said that the Vietnamese stole your tires while you were going 35.
Most of it is
never got under 20.
Is based on truth.
That's based on truth?
I'm serious.
I'm choosing to believe.
The other 5%, when it gets pretty wild, that's the 5% to make it interesting.
So I'll say this. So inside, the publishers, when the show takes off, everybody wants to do a book, So Willie and Corey had done a book, The Duck Commander Family, and they had actually already written the book. Then the show hits, well, the book just takes off like a meteor. So then they did Dad, Happy, Happy, Happy. And it was the same story from the movie. It was his story, and it was a great, amazing book, sold a ton of copies, over 1 million copies. Well, then, of course, they want to get a Si book because everybody who doesn't love Uncle Si. So their idea, the publishers, and we knew the publishers because this was Johnny's company at the time, way back then, Corey's dad. And so the publishers wanted to do like a book of sayings that Si does on the show, which to me was so low-hanging fruit.
You set that sucker on the back of a toilet and everybody's
exactly. And look, would it have sold? Absolutely. So Phyllis at the time, who's their main editor, is a friend of mine. So she calls me and she says, "What do you think about this idea of this book we're doing for Si?" Because I had helped them with Dad's book. And I said, "Do you want my honest opinion or and she said, "Yeah." And I said, "Well, you'll sell a ton of them because everything Si's name is on, he's going to sell." I said, "But you are missing a huge opportunity. The book that needs to be done is Si telling his life story through his stories, through his tales." I said, because that's what we all fell in love with. We love the way Si tells stories. And she said, "No, that's an idea." I said, "Look, do what you want." Well, about 2 weeks later, I get a call back. It's like, "Will you help make this happen?" I was like,
I was just fixated then. I owe you a lot more than I thought I
"You
did.
do. This was my idea."
Okay, yeah.
I never knew.
No, because I was wondering how they were going to pull this off.
Oh, yeah.
But I didn't know.
It was me.
It
was your favorite nephew.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Yeah.
I just want to point out, though, that right before we started, the accountant brought in a check to Si, and that's when Al decided to make this known.
I've been waiting to tell this story.
No.
Until Si got a check. But Si, look, you owe me nothing. I did it because I love you. But I told him, I said, "Look, I will sit down. I want to be a part of the interview." So Mark Slayball, who's the same guy that Ghost wrote Dad's book, Ghost wrote Si's, and he's a great writer. He's a sports guy.
Mm-hmm.
Slayball's an ESPN guy. But he did a great job on our books. And so we sat down. Si, do you remember this? It was it's where Phyllis lives now at the lodge.
Yeah.
For 3 days.
Yeah.
And I sat there and I would prompt stories that I'd heard all my life.
All he'd do when I would hit forget, he'd say, "Oh, no, tell him about this."
Yeah, what about this? Si, you remember that time when the wolves chased you? And boy, here you go.
Yeah.
And so he just told his stories. And then we brought Christine in one day. And of course, she's Si's fact checker. She's like Missy is to Jace. So I was like, in spite of Christine fact checking, but she filled in like a lot of the family stories about their kids and about the military deployments. But it wound up being, that was Psychology, by the way, Si's first book, which sold a ton of copies. And it was great. And I was so glad they did the right thing. by telling the story the right way, because that was the way the story.
No, because it was a very because I don't read that much, but I actually read the book.
Shocker.
No, and look, that's first.
He actually read the book.
But I actually read it, and
Did they put it on PBS in cartoon form?
And it was it was an easy read.
It is. People love that.
Okay, because the best part of this was Al's behind the deal of getting it put together and why it worked.
Man behind the scenes.
Stone
did the voice.
Yeah, he did the
Stone
voice.
was the voice for the audio.
Once again, Al's idea.
No, and hey, Stone.
Al's been holding on to this. He
I
need to
just
tell
saying,
people.
if you're wondering how this whole operation works, you're looking at the guy. Right? Forget about Willie. Forget about Jay's.
Amen.
I mean, this is the real guy.
That's why when I actually really want something done,
who do you call, Si?
We just talked about. I want him to do a sermon.
He's got a sermon idea for me.
Okay, because
I just kind of a heavy one. Good luck.
I just know. Okay,
I got it.
He's good enough that he can pull it off, and it will be what I think it should be. Because what I want to do is I want Al to tell the people. He does it now very good.
Si's my biggest fan on both.
But okay,
you know how many times on a Tuesday we come in here? All right, y'all got to hear what Al said on Sunday.
Well, no,
let's go. Hey, Martin just walked in. Martin, did you see Si yelling at the dummies about the creation of the cosmos today?
But Al's going to do a lesson one of these days.
Yeah, he's working.
Al's going to explain what the Bible literally calls unexplainable. So I can't wait to hear it.
I got it.
No.
I'm ready.
I mean,
I'm not afraid of this task.
I like it.
I got it.
Well, I actually was teaching the youths at a congregation, and I won't mention where.
Oh boy,
because they actually told me I couldn't teach them anymore. Okay,
it's a true story.
Well,
We've gone down this.
No. But anyway, okay. The reason they done that,
we fact checked this one too.
Is I told them, I was telling the kids, okay, all the things that Jesus is. And one of them is, I said, hey, look, I finished it with this. I said, that's my older brother. And they said, well, hey, you can't teach the kids anymore because you brought Jesus down. And I said, hey, I really like that you think I brought Jesus down. I said, but that ain't the truth. I said, and you need to read your Bible. You're all three in error to the elders. I said, because, hey, Jesus is the one that said, I will call them brothers. I said, but hey, look, I love all three of you, and it ain't no big deal. Okay, I don't have to teach your kids. Okay,
you can have your kids.
Yeah, you can have your kids.
He's not. He's not bitter.
Yeah. One of my favorite things about Si though is when he loves you, he calls you a dummy and an idiot. But if he's mad at you, he says you are in error. I've learned that whenever Si says I had to look at him and say they were in error. Dummy. That's when he's mad. If he calls you a big dummy, it means he loves you.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, hey, but I know Al can pull it off.
I can pull it off.
Because
if he pulled your book off, then the sky's the limit.
No. That was the best way to do it.
It was. I was right.
It wasn't the best book we ever had, though.
Well,
no. Because this one I have hidden behind my back was the best one we ever had.
Right.
Hey, Robertson's. You know this book, if you go in my house, there's like a couple pages that just open and fall open because of how much we use it at my house.
Oh, yeah, it's used
and you
by
started
everybody.
talking about books, and I looked back there and I said, Miss K's book's behind me. I'm giving that one.
Yeah, but there's one little flaw about that.
Uh-oh.
Okay, it's a cookbook.
Yeah.
And everybody gets mad because they can't make it taste like she makes it taste.
That's true. And look, Mom's struggling.
And the key to that is them little hands.
That's right.
Okay.
You can't have the big meaty hands.
You've got to.
Who did I tell that to?
Yeah,
all of us.
The main one was
Willie.
And he got
We
so
can't
mad
make
at me.
crust
And
because
he
we got
said,
them big meaty hands.
he said, quit saying that about me. I said, well, look at your hands and look at mine.
Right. And you can't put the love that I put in it.
This is the page that made Willie so mad. The homemade mac and cheese. I was working for Willie when this book came out, and he would try and make it. He goes, that's just not it. Like, it's not, it doesn't taste like my mom. So he called her, and I was sitting there. He goes, and Miss K goes, oh, no, you got to double the cheese that the book says.
That's right. Hey.
Well, you know why? Because Chris Howard
Tried to healthy
was
that
the
thing up.
editor there, and that's the last person we need doing cooking is Chris Howard. I mean, let's face it. You know the sign that says "Never trust a skinny cook."
Hey,
Yeah.
I mean, Chris has been skinny her whole life. She can't do any recipes. She's got Johnny's
Yeah.
Pizza on her phone on one button push.
that's right.
You know, as a family member, he's correct. Yeah, that is my
Thank you
Aunt
for
Chris, and I
backing me
will
up.
not defend her at all.
We love her, but
We love her, but we'd much rather have
Don't
Lisa's
put her in
cornbread.
charge of the cookbook. That's exactly
Don't
right.
ever think two mama can cook, okay?
Hey, we're starting this ad right now, and Phil is over there making him a glass of AG1. Look, you know we're just regular
That's right.
dudes. We're not fitness models. We're not fitness instructors. We're just regular people with regular jobs that have a pretty regular podcast that like to stay regular. And one way we do is with AG1.
Drink it hot while it's smoking.
Right.
Well, that was kind of just the powder over the
A
cup.
little powder, Si.
Oh, no. Drink it hot, boy.
No, Godwin, we're going to drink it while it's cold because AG1 is a daily foundational nutrition. It's super simple. It's a habit I can actually stick to. Philip's already made a whole glass and is drinking it right now. Healthy habits can be hard to maintain, especially in the summer when schedules are everywhere and all over the place. And if you're anything like us, you're on the go like we are. And with AG1, I don't have to sacrifice this healthy habit no matter how busy your family's getting because it all takes just 30 seconds. That's it. Just one scoop of AG1 contains 75 plus vitamins, minerals, pre and probiotics to support whole body health. It supports energy and improves digestion and gut health. Plus, it fills nutrient gaps in your diet and supports immune health. We've been talking about AG1 forever. Si's so excited, you should see how big his eyes are.
Hey, it blew his hat up.
It blew his hat up, and he's fired up about it because how many scoops?
One.
One scoop will do you. It's a game changer. You're going to feel the best you've ever felt. You're going to have more energy without that afternoon crash. And your gut health, thumbs up on your gut health. I've been drinking AG1 for more than 3 years now, and I'm so happy to be partnering with them. Start giving your body the nutrients it deserves. Just head to our link, drinkag1.com/duck to subscribe for less than $3 a day. If you use our link, you'll get a free welcome kit with a shaker bottle, 5 free AG1 travel packs, and more with your first purchase. That's drinkag1.com/duck. I do cherish our cookbook though. I have this at my house, and Miss K wrote a note to Allison in it.
Yeah.
And it said, I think it says Allison D, which is hilarious, but because she just Johnny D, Allison D, it just works.
That's pretty good.
But it said in it says, I love seeing young women learning how to cook. And this book probably 10 years old. Now my wife just be slinging in the kitchen almost every day.
Yep.
And she looks up to you, and this cookbook was a big part of that.
That's good. And you know,
I would
Si
tell her
now,
thank you.
Oh yeah.
Si is the lone survivor of the Robertson siblings. And what's funny, Si, is that Dad, so almost all of them had dementia, except for Jimmy Frank.
Well, I've had all that, from birth.
From birth, right. And so we just got used to yours.
Yeah.
Which is probably the best. So you are the most normal Robertson. What's funny to me is now you are the most normal
Well,
Robertson.
no, because see, I told you, okay, I actually tried to be normal for 5 minutes one time.
How was it?
Oh, it was driving me insane. So I just said, to H with it. I'm gonna go back to being crazy.
The H with it.
Yeah,
with it.
I'm
I'll
going
be
back to being crazy. I'll just be crazy.
It's
Number
worked out.
one, it's a lot more fun, and number two, it's less stressful. Just be who you are.
Amen to that.
It's so funny because we would do interviews back during the show, and we would all go to New York or someplace. And so then they were trying to be all like, these news media, some of them were trying to like make a big deal. They're like, well, is this really a scripted show? And Si would always say, are you kidding? Can you imagine trying to script me?
That's right.
I mean, that was, you were your own walking evidence that
Right.
there's no script
Yeah.
for Si Robertson.
Even when you tell him to say something,
Well,
it comes out way better.
way
and,
better,
and
way
not what
Hey,
you said.
here's the thing: when you're on Fox and Friends, you don't want to say something like, "Hey, don't bring up the word script when you're out there."
That's the first thing Si talked about.
That's the first thing I said when I sat down.
That's right.
I said, "Hey, look,"
Is that the time?
I
Look.
said, "I am a director's worst nightmare." I said, "They would give me a script." I said, "I'd roll it up, throw it in the trash can, and then do what I wanted to do to begin with."
That is
And
true.
then did you hear the story when we were on the little after show for the Today Show, the Kathy Lee and Hoda or whatever it is, and so they're sitting there and they're like, "Well, we understand, Mr. Phil. You have dogs." They're trying to be real careful about what to ask.
That's
Dad.
when he went on it.
Yeah, and he's like, Yeah, I got dogs. They're the first line of defense. They start yapping, and if people start coming trying to rape and pillage and maim my kids and my women, then it will be a hail of gunfire like you. And they're like, whoa. So they're trying to and so it's like we took a turn into Smith and Wesson there. And so then they looked to Si to bail them out. And they're like, well, Uncle Si, and he said, hey, we'd rather have a Bible study, but if a gunfight breaks out, we're ready. And it was just like it never came back. It never came back.
And then Willie, we get on the plane to go back home, the whole family. Okay, Willie stands up and turns around to the whole plane. He said, hey, you ought to know, if you come to rape and pillage our village, boys, you'll run into a hell of gunfire.
We laughed so hard about that.
Well, Phil knew he was about to be famous.
Everybody in the plane was just...
So he was getting the word out.
And then 2 months later, we're filming the show up at Darbone Lake. It was that episode when Willie was on the jet thing, above the thing. And so we're all sitting in the cars because we're doing a drive up where everybody gets out at the little vacation site. So we all got walkie-talkies to cue us when to drive up. So Willie this is 2 months after that's happened. Willie says, all of a sudden he comes, because the people are back and forth, all right, stand by, suburban number 2, blah, blah, blah. And so then Willie comes in, he's like, if you try to rape and pillage our women, there will be a gunfight.
He meant it though.
And we laugh. So we all get, if you go back and watch that episode, we get out of the cars, we're all laughing so hard, but it was because of Willie doing this, he gets bored, that was it.
That's so
Well, I was on another plane with him and sitting back there, and all of a sudden I heard it. And if you the pillage and the doing that, and then people are looking around like, what is that going on? And of course we were laughing so hard we couldn't quit laughing.
Well, it reminds me that we were on a mission trip one time, and there was about 20 of us, and we were flying to Dominican, I think, and Gordon Dasher was with us, Jan's husband and Zach's dad. And so he's sitting up front. All the rest of us are in the back of the plane, and it's one of those little ones. And so they come on the thing and they say, we're going to have to move a few people because of some weight things for the plane, which, they'll do. And so they're like, we need some people up front to move to the back. Well, nobody made a move. Everybody just sits there. So then they come back on. They're like, would someone between the rows of 2 and 4, and of course, Gordon's sitting up there on the 3rd row, move to the back. And so we're watching. I'm sitting next to Ben Atkins, who's Gordon's son-in-law. And it's like, they're talking to Gordon, but he's the biggest guy up there, but he ain't moving. And so finally it's like, will anybody in row 3, please? And like, we are all laughing so hard. There's like, with the fat guy and the 3A, please move to the back of the plane.
3A, get up and move your fat butt to the middle of the plane.
Oh my goodness. And Lisa, you know how her laugh is. She got so tickled the whole plane could hear her laughing. And Gordo, he finally got up and took the 20-foot walk of shame
to the back of the plane. Oh goodness gracious. Well, Martin's here. I'm gonna let Martin squeeze in here and talk about yesterday, or not yesterday, whatever day it was. No. We had a big, Jason Missy had a big happening out there. Martin was baptizing people left and right. I was over in a booth. I never got to see anybody, but
I never saw you there, Johnny.
I was working.
I know.
I was just out in the crowd. But I'm gonna let Martin squeeze in my seat. I'm gonna go over and sit in Hunter's chair and scream things from afar.
Well, speaking about that, how many did you do baptize, Martin, down there on Sunday?
I don't know how many we baptized because it all got in a deal. It all happened in a frenzy kind of a thing. Once, baptism a lot like when you have public professions of faith. A lot of times, what's the best? It's kind of, you got to have somebody break the seal.
Yeah.
And then when the first one goes, it generally starts a flood of people. Like, they're like, okay, now that I saw him do it, now I know I need to be in there.
And a lot of the people came to the event like with an expectation because we've done it every year. So someone is like putting the gospel out there the whole day. There's like different speakers up there doing their thing. And so people are being touched and moved the whole time. And a lot of them come with that idea. But I loved it because I looked over there and Martin it was like hooping and hollering going on the whole time. It's because we had some CR guys over there, and they love to hoop and holler.
Oh yeah,
Martin just joined right in.
Hey,
it reminded me of the cruise we did, the Duck Commander cruise, because Martin was one of the designated baptizers.
Yeah,
and we baptized like 300 people on that cruise ship.
yeah, that was cool, man.
Which the carnival people told me the only other people that ever been baptized on a carnival cruise were drunk people that fell in the pool.
Yeah.
Wasn't really intentional.
Nobody willing.
Yeah,
Nobody willing.
They didn't really get baptized. They just fell in the water.
Fell in the pool. Yeah.
But yeah, it was cool. So that's the first time I've been to Faith Family
Me too.
Freedom, right?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
I try to make sure I say it right.
Was it your first time, Mom?
No.
You've been
I've
out there. Oh yeah, you and Dad were there last year. Which is hard to believe that Dad was there speaking last year.
No.
How
That's
quickly
crazy.
that happened.
Yeah, and because I signed a bunch of stuff with Phil's signature on it, so it's kind of a pilgrimage almost type deal for the people that have come. They continue to come back, which tells you what kind of event Jason Missy are putting on there. Yeah. It was really cool. But yeah, it was the first time I was in town for one of them. So
Me
when
too.
Jace asked, I said, "Absolutely, man. I'd love to help out however I can." I had no idea that y'all two were going to be there. Of course, when y'all two started, y'all kind of broke up the baptism line. So,
Well, no, that's what
everybody ran
Broke up
to
the
that.
hat
That's what
selling line,
JD
too.
said.
Everything stopped.
when y'all got to talking, everybody said, we'll be right back. That water ain't going nowhere."
Well,
And,
no.
you know,
'Cause Sunday was a unique day. Because see, I when I come in, I usually sit in halfway on the left side.
yeah.
Well, there was everybody sitting there, so I just sat on the other side.
I saw you back there.
Yeah. So I sit down, and then Kim comes up and like, she said, "I think I'm gonna get a reserved seat, put it on that." And I said, "I'll get out of here." I said, "I'm just kidding." I said, "What?" But anyway, the singing was fabulous.
Yeah, it was so good.
Praise team.
So, Dad, you were there. So, Dad would preach the gospel in the morning at these devos. Well, people started saying, can we get baptized? And I'm like, well, we got water everywhere. We're surrounded by water. We got water on the boat.
Yeah.
So we started doing these baptisms like at 10 o'clock in the morning. So the first couple of times it was just a handful. By the third day, they were lined up down the Lido day.
We had a regulation line.
So we
yeah.
wound up getting 3 of us in the water. It was me, Martin, and Dad, and we were all in the pool. And I'll never forget, it's one of the coolest things I've ever experienced because there were people on a deck above us looking down over us, and then there were people above them on a walking track looking over them.
Yep.
So it was 3 levels of people, and every time we would immerse somebody, and we were going 3 at a time because there were so many people, and Larry West was there, he was sharing with them. And every time somebody would go in and come out, all those would clap.
Yeah.
And it reminded me of the verse in Luke 15 that says that angels rejoice in heaven when a sinner
they throw
returns.
a party.
Yeah, they throw a party. And
It's
we
a
were
big
having a
party.
party right on the Lido
man.
day. And there was no alcohol involved. It
He
was
said
just
that.
me first.
He said that the other day. You brought that up. He said, I can remember when me and Phil was.
It was a cool.
Hey, we was dunking them as fast as we could.
Hey, man, and there's one that'll always stand out. Guy was he's like 98 years old. I carried him to Phil in the water, but he was a photographer in World War II and Vietnam War. So he was like an armed services photographer.
Wow.
And it took him till 98 to get baptized
Good
before he found. So it just shows you and there's a picture of me and Phil doing that.
That's awesome.
And it's one of my core memories of out of everything Phil taught me. Right, I mean, we've killed so many ducks together. We've done a lot of cool things together. But to be
baptized
able
in
to,
98, yeah.
who had seen the worst
Oh yeah,
and photographed the worst of man, and to be standing right there with Phil as he's asking him who's going to be the Lord and Savior of your life. I mean, that'll never go anywhere for me.
Exactly
That memory is etched in the core. But those memories also don't exist without Kay. So, without Kay being hard-headed, I love you, Kay, but thank you for being hard-headed. Thank you for being stubborn. Thank you for fighting for your marriage. Thank you for all the things, because a lot of it goes, a lot of it went unnoticed for a long time, but we just want you to know we love you. I'm so thankful.
And it wasn't
I'm so
lazy, was it, lady?
thankful that this lady is sitting here with us today. Unbelievable, Kay. We love you.
Thank you.
We want you here more. I'll even make you an office here if you want it.
I don't.
You don't.
Martin
Good
missed
call.
the early part about her retirement.
Oh,
Yeah.
no, I'm just kidding. I walked outside
She's
yesterday.
not back into dating.
Well, Nan come up here yesterday. She said, Kay's out there in the car. So I went out there to see Kay, but I think you had dozed off. And I said, you know what I'm not going to do?
I ain't gonna wake her up.
I'm not going to tap on that glass and be the one that gives her a heart attack.
Yep.
So,
Well, I have to take a nap everywhere I can. 'cause
well,
You
hey,
inside both.
you learn from the best. He was with you your whole life. If anybody can teach you how to
The
nap.
king of napping, yes.
Oh, man.
Yeah, when I got there yesterday, the first one I saw when I come up behind with Si. So I came up and tapped him. I don't know if you remember it. And then I said, your sister's here. That's what I said. and Si looked around like, who?
Who? Who?
You don't know me.
I remember Kay out at the event. Kay went riding by me on a golf cart, and I just yelled, "There goes Kay from Duck Dynasty!" And then everybody in my line said, "Meow." I said, "Hey, I don't blame you at all, man. Like I'm about to go get in line to see Kay too. Like,
Proof of life.
yeah,
She's
proof of
still
life,
doing well.
man. Gathering out in the middle of a cornfield, sharing the gospel. Because I mean, legit." If you haven't been there, this place is a square in the middle of a cornfield.
It is.
Like, I mean, there is 10-foot tall corn all around. It feels like Field of Dreams.
Yeah.
Like,
I tried to get some on the way out, and Phil wouldn't let me. I mean, not Phil, but whoever. was riding with. And I said, they will never miss it.
She told it was me, but she said Phil won't let me get that corn. I said, are you having a conversation? Because maybe she is at the
Well,
place.
hey,
Maybe it is,
hey.
Mom.
Hey, do you need some sweet corn? I can find some for you. Don't worry. If you're,
No,
if you're
she
putting
was
in an
like-
order for sweet
She
corn.
was telling stories about her and Dad used to stop and get corn just out of the field. And I was like, well, Mom, that's called stealing now.
Yeah,
but I don't know what they
yeah.
call it.
Now, who would miss 3 or 4?
Oh, they ain't gonna miss 10, 12 corn.
Yeah, spoken like a good
Yes.
thief.
Exactly.
Spoken like every good
I
thief.
could have that. I could eat all that by the time I got home. Look it up. Nobody'd ever know.
Evidence
that
is
about
gone.
me.
Evidence,
right?
that's right.
Yeah, there ain't no
Trust me, you
evidence.
don't want to find that.
Yeah. Kay, I hate to tell you, but there's a thing they call DNA. They find you if they wanted you.
And oh, by the way, corn doesn't digest, just
Yeah.
so you know.
Oh, yeah, it'd come out in the wash.
Mm.
Oh, man.
Well, you know what? If they're that hard up for a criminal, bless them. That's all I know.
He said, if you need $20, call me, corn farmer. I got you.
I noticed on the way out there, because you got to drive by OCC, they growing corn. So if you just want to go stay out there, you
Yeah,
probably
we
get you
should-
some of that
We
corn.
did. We
Yeah,
talked
we
about
just saw
OCC
that.
when
We
drove
didn't,
by.
we?
Yeah, they had a full garden
They
going.
did. I said, Mom, you want me to drop you at your new home?
Oh, thank you.
Kay, are you tired of living with Jay yet?
Huh.
Oh, boy.
I'm just curious.
Oh,
I didn't know if there was a short answer there. I figured y'all may have already talked about it, but
yeah, he's something else. He really is. He got his ways, and
old Stone.
yeah, he's got a certain time he likes you to leave the TV room, and he'll take over. I said, "Okay, is there a message here?" And he just looked at me, and I said, "I got it. I got it."
Jay
I
likes
said, but
watching
if
Game
you-
of Thrones. That's not exactly Mom's cup of tea.
Oh, okay. You'd probably like Game of Thrones.
Oh, Mom's likes the 14 episodes of FBI. Every time
Yeah.
I walk over, it's the same ones. I said, Mom, I know how this one ends.
Always in the last 5 minutes, they get the
Procedure.
guy.
They get the guy.
You
He's,
get him, boys.
Yeah.
Yeah, they learned it from Walker, Texas Ranger.
Exactly.
So,
Well, that's
man.
just my shows, not the thorn of whatever it
the
is.
thorn of
The thorn of
the
thrones.
thorn of the game.
No, when Jay has that, and he just looks at me like, and I said, "Don't worry, I'm out of here."
It is 2025. Why is Stone just now watching Game of Thrones?
Well, he's a little slow.
Of course, he also just got Facebook. so-
Exactly.
He got
right.
Facebook 2 days ago.
After making fun of everybody on Facebook.
Yeah.
But now he can't stop smiling
Oh,
all of a
of
sudden.
course.
Every
Yeah,
picture,
exactly.
Stone's got a
Nobody
fish.
even believed it was really him. They thought it was AI because he had talked so bad about it.
Yeah.
And
I
now
declined his first friend request. I was like,
almost
that's not
everybody
Stone.
did.
Yeah. Now Stone got skinny and he smiles now.
Oh, yeah,
I
exactly.
don't know.
I like happy stuff.
I just ain't seen him yet. He smiles in the pictures, but he don't bring it up here. Like I don't know where
Back
he
when he was
leaves it.
fat, he was happy all the time.
It's like he
though.
must leave it at the time clock and pick it back up when he leaves. I don't know, but oh man. Well, Kay, I guess we'll get out of here. We'll let you go take a nap.
I got a Bible verse. if you
All
ain't got
right.
one.
We're gonna let Johnny D read the Bible verse.
I got the same verse. I think I ended the first time Miss Kay was ever in the duck call room with us.
Really?
Because there's a whole chapter in the Bible that's about you. It's called Proverbs 31,
Yep.
and we talk about everybody feel affected, from the people that showed up to Faith Family Freedom, to everybody that has a job here, to everybody that lives in the family compound, to the millions of people around the world that have heard Phil Robertson preach the gospel. And that's amazing. But without K. Robertson, there is no Phil Robertson. So I'm going to end this with Proverbs 31, 28 through 31. Her children arise and call her blessed, her husband also, and he praises her. Many women do noble things, but you surpass them all. Charm is deceptive and beauty is fleeting, but a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised.
Amen.
Honor her for all that her hands have done, and let her works bring her praise at the city gate. I think I speak for Duck Call Room fans, Unashamed fans, Duck Dynasty fans, Phil fans, and anybody that's ever heard Phil Robertson speak. You are to be praised, Kay, and we thank you.
Yeah, it's them little tender hands.
It's them little
It's
tender
just a
hands
little
make that
tender
good
hand.
cornbread.
And I'll just say this: thank God for praying women, right? Because every male in here has had a woman or a liege of women praying over them our whole lives.
And a woman that has a lot of patience.
Amen. I'm still working on that with mine, but hey, she can't help it. Rocky Top, baby. You can't help it, Tennessee fan. But thank you, Kay. I know this goes without saying, but that chair is yours whenever you want it. So we love you. Thank you for being here. It's so good to see you smile. I love it. Look at that lipstick. You put that on her. You do hair and makeup this morning?
I did not. I did hair and makeup before the thing out there, and she said, "Is this it?" And I said, "Mom, that's all I got."
I would never
I
let
ran a brush through it. That's all I know to do.
I can do a lot of things, but hey, this is
Hair
all
and
I got.
makeup is not my specialty.
Man. Well, we'll see y'all next time right here in the Duck Call Room. We're out.